Hey guys, welcome to part 8 of this Godot Flappy Bird clone tutorial series. So in this tutorial we're going to be looking at how we can add the UI for our score system and also how we can fix this issue with our game where our player is not being killed when they hit the obstacle. And this is because previously we were attaching it to a single obstacle and not to multiple obstacles, which we are now spawning dynamically in our game. So the first thing we need to do is we need to bring in the font. So I've decided to make this tutorial a little bit more advanced than the original tutorial in the series. The original tutorial just brought in basic bitmap fonts and they look pretty bad. So I've decided I'm going to show you how to bring in TTF fonts into your UI to make them look a little nicer. So before we jump into this tutorial, just please remember to subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and to hit that notification bell as well, just to get those notifications of any new tutorials. So let's quickly look at where we're going to get our fonts. So I'm using Google Fonts for this, fonts.google.com. So you'll get to this page and you can go and choose any font you like that you think will look nice. I've just chosen this first one, and then what you'll do is you'll just go to download family, and then in your Godot project what we want to do is, what I did is I created this fonts folder where I added these various fonts. So just do the same, and then the next thing we need to do is we need to bring in a UI element which we can put into our game. So to do that, I'm going to right click on the game node, add a child node, and we're going to look for label, and I'll just add a label. I'm not going to use this resize control because that will distort our font and make it look really bad. So I'm going to leave it like this for now. In text, I'm going to set this to zeros because we're going to start with a 0 score. And then in custom fonts, we want to now set up our font. So check this box over here and then create a new dynamic font, and then click on that drop down again. Then in font, you want to go and create a new dynamic font data and click on it again. And then in this font path, you'll see this icon, click that, and then choose your font. So now this gives us the option to use the font we've downloaded, and we can now resize our font, and I'm going to make mine 100, and you'll see it looks quite nice. And I'll just drag it more or less here in the middle of the screen and hit play. So you'll see our font is in our scoring UI is there, and it's staying in the middle of the screen where we can see it. So let's now look at fixing the obstacle player death issue that we have. So I'm just going to go through a few scenarios. I'm not going to fix it right away. I just want to show you what sort of things can go wrong so that you can try and fix this yourself, or if you run into more issues like this in future, then you can actually go and fix this quite easily as well. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to look at our player script. So this is where we originally connected it up and it was one obstacle, but now we've got multiple obstacles. So the most logical place to put this now is to connect it as we create an obstacle. So I'm going to just copy this portion here because we're going to use that in a second. So in the spawner where we create the obstacles, we're going to connect it up here. So we need to connect it to the obstacle, and it's going to trigger the kill player signal. And your first assumption might be is that this should be self, but it's not, because self is going to be referring to this script and it doesn't have a handle player die method inside of it. So that's inside of the player, so we need to try and call this method from the spawner script. So you might assume that the first thing you want to do then is to refer to the player node in the scene. So I'm going to run this to just show you that that's not going to work. So it's not working, but like what I want to show you here is in the debugger and errors, you can then see that this error occurred. So it's trying to call a kill player, handle player method on a node 2D node. So now if we look at our player script, we'll see that it is a kinematic body 2D. So it's obviously not going to be able to find this script to try and handle this player die method. So what we need to do to fix this is we need to just go look at how we have set up our player.tscn. So again, we had the player and then we had a kinematic body 2D, and the script is attached to this node. So we need to refer to this node to connect this method or function to our signal. So to do that, what we'll do is we'll go back into spawner, and then we need to say .get node, and then we need to type out the exact naming of that node. And let's give this a go, and let's just keep this debugger open in case we pick up any other errors. I'm going to clear this so that we can see any new errors. Let's and you see that's just worked and it's killed our player out of the scene. Right. So that's how we can fix it so that our player now dies again and all of that works. So the other thing that's not working now is this menu over here. It needs to be attached as well to actually show this portion. So previously we used this to connect it, but we now know that we can use our same method here to do the same connection. So we'll copy this, and this time instead of the player we'll use just menu. And let's just make sure that we have actually handled the script correctly. So the script is on menu, so that should then trigger that menu. So let's give that a go, and we'll watch our debugger to just make sure we don't get any errors. But there you go. So now our menu shows again and our player has died. So that's how we fix that issue in our game. So hopefully that's been useful, and hopefully you'll find that useful going forward in building your own games and just getting this signals correct. So just another thing before we end off this tutorial, you could also look at defining all your signals in one node and then having a script attached to that. And then from there you will only connect that node to everything else. And then you'd be able to emit signals between all your nodes. But I like doing it this way for now, just to show you how it actually works without getting too complicated with a bridge node in between. But you can go look at how you can do that as well, just by creating another node and adding a script and defining your signals in there and then connecting them up. So guys, that's the end of this tutorial. I hope it's been useful. Please do like and subscribe and hit that notification bell if you enjoyed it and want to see more of these tutorials. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Cheers.